New week, new beginning. It's Monday, y'all. You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. Let's ride.
Welcome to YMAS Podcast, the podcast that believes that a vast majority of the world's population is accustomed to following sports on a daily basis, and it's our job to give another point of view while providing fun and interesting entertainment. We have the maddest sports host on the planet.
I'm so mad right now.
And the rapper turned sports analyst.
Man, yo, back in the day.
You're listening to YMAS Podcast. James C. Song you.
You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10, back from my hiatus. You already know what it is. Yo, Ty, what's going on, man?
Man, it feels good to be back from hiatus. Let's get to talking about the show today.
All right, so on today's episode, back from hiatus, we're going to recap everything that's happened with the Tennessee Titans and also discuss their loss against the San Diego Chargers. We're also going to talk about what's going on in Rocky Top, including Jalen Hurd, my little rant on that. And we're going to talk about the World Series and finish up with a little truth or dare. You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. Let's ride. YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10, back from hiatus. Yo, we got a big show today, got a lot to talk about. We have the Tennessee Titans, Tennessee Vols, the World Series, and everything about Jalen Hurd. We're going to talk all about that. So, let's get started talking about the Tennessee Titans. Last time we talked about the Titans, I think they were coming off of a victory against Miami. Since then, they have beaten Jacksonville, lost to the Colts, and lost to San Diego. Now, 5-2, you know, one thing I do realize about this team is definitely better than last year's team. And I think we can say that without hesitating. I think this team is way better than last year's team. And one reason why I say that is, look at yesterday's game. Take yesterday's game, for example. Last year's team, when Marcus Mariota threw that first interception, the game would have been over. You know, San Diego would have blew them out, and you know, people would have been changing the channel, and we would have been hearing everything negative about this team on Twitter. But instead, this team overcame that, and they did eventually take the lead starting in the second half. And I want to credit bad play calling and just stupid mistakes was the reason to why the Titans lost on Sunday.
You have to credit bad play calling and mistakes, because number one, the main reason why the Titans lost on Sunday was they shot their own selves in the foot, which is why the team isn't undefeated like they should be. I mean, let's face it, this team going into that game should have been 8-0. You know, you shoot yourselves in the foot against Minnesota. You shoot yourself in the foot against Oakland. You shoot yourself in the foot against Indianapolis. You shoot yourself in the foot against who else did they lose to that they should have beat? Houston. So this team going into that game should have been 8-0, but the common theme this year is just not shooting yourself in the foot. And this team is not good enough yet to overcome multiple mistakes. They're not there yet. They are a few pieces away from being a really, really, really good team. Right now, I think this team is in between good and mediocre, because you look at this team offensively, they have the quarterback of the future. They have stout running backs. Right now, they have, I would say, maybe above average wide receivers. I think we can put Kendall Wright, Rashard Matthews, and Tajay Sharp in the category of above average. I don't think they're average, because Kendall can make plays and really change the game once he gets involved. Rashard Matthews has come on, spectacularly as of late. And Tajay Sharp at the beginning of the year was really looking good. And I think, he's just starting to regress because the rookie is starting to showcase a lot of his rookie mistakes. But even still, I think this wide receiving group is in a category of above average. And they need to find a playmaking wide receiver. One play that comes to mind is one of the passes that he threw in the second half, where he lobbed it to Rashard, and he just overthrew him a bit. You get a speedster at wide receiver who can run up underneath that pass and catch it, that changes the whole outcome of the game. That's a touchdown. They don't have that guy on this team. Kendall Wright used to be able to be that guy, but I think with multiple injuries to knees and hamstrings, you lose all that speed, especially when you're stiff. So, Kendall's not that guy anymore. Could he be that guy next year? Maybe. We don't know. But they need that type of guy. Speedster, that is a ball hawk, a playmaker that can go up and get the ball when you need him to. They need that guy at the wide receiving core. You look at their tight ends. Delaney Walker is the now. And I think, what's his name, Jason Morrow, is the future for them, okay? They have a good set of tight ends. Philip Supernall is reliable enough for him to catch passes, run after the catch, make some blocks. I think he's reliable enough to be that number 2 guy for the future. And you have Anthony Fasano, who is, the number 2 right now. But, he will be leaving this team at some point in time here in the near future. But offensively, you look at that group, they're almost there. They need maybe just one deep threat wide receiver for them to be a dynamic offense. And, the offensive line has been playing spectacular this year. They didn't give up a sack in this past game, which was great, going up against talent like Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. This offensive line, as they grow together, is going to become one of the best offensive lines in the league. And there are a lot of analysts that have already given them that title, that they are the best offensive line in the league. But they're still young and they still make mistakes. But over time, if this group can gel together and work together for 10 plus years, this is going to be a great offensive line to come. You look at them offensively, this team is very close to being dynamic because of what they can do. Defensively, however, they have multiple pieces, in my opinion, that I think that they need to become a dynamic defense. You look at the cornerback situation. They need a playmaking corner. And we've been preaching this for years, that they need a playmaking corner to really make that defense stout. They need, I love Avery Williamson, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great talent, and I think he's a great middle linebacker. However, his flaw is he cannot cover tight ends. And they need a guy who can do both, who can stop the run and pass cover. I think Avery Williamson is a better run stopper than anybody else on this team, but he can't cover tight ends or wide receivers to save his life. He just can't. That's his flaw. Nothing against him, but he just can't do that. We have watched Avery Williamson for 3 years now, and he hasn't gotten any better. So we know exactly what he is. He can run stop, but he can't pass cover. They need to find a linebacker that can really excel at both. And they need a talent at the edge position. Somebody like Von Miller, or, somebody that can cause havoc in the backfield every play. You watched the game last night with Denver and Oakland. Von Miller was all over the place. Even if he didn't get the sack, he was back there making plays. The Titans don't have that guy. Derek Morgan and Brian Orakpo are really good. And the depth behind them is better than it has been in the last couple of years. But they lack that guy that just goes out there and makes plays on the defensive line. They need to find that guy who can come off the edge and really cause havoc in the backfield before the quarterback has a chance to even throw the ball. We don't have that guy. A couple of years ago, Brian Orakpo was that guy. He's not really that guy. He can do it in spurts, but he's not a 60-minute, I'm going to get back there and cause havoc every single play type guy. He's not that guy anymore. So the defense needs some pieces to really make them a stout defense. But you look at this team overall, this team, I in my opinion, I think could be fixed up this offseason. Maybe, depending on how the draft and free agency happens. I think this is a team that you can honestly look at and say, you know, if they go out and get this and this and this, they can be ready to really contend for a playoff spot next year.
You know, I have to agree with you on that. I really think this is a team that, like you said, if they go out and get the deep threat wide receiver, get the playmaking corner, get the pass rush specialist, get the linebacker that can do it all. This is a team, like you said, that can really compete, win the division, not only win the division, but be in the playoffs next year. I think this is a team this year that could win the division this year. I really believe that. The Titans just need to learn not to kill themselves when it's crucial. And I have to give them credit. Yes, they did kill themselves yesterday. But one thing I noticed about this team is, like Mike Mularkey said, they have a whole lot of heart. You know, this team fought and tried. But overall, once you commit so many mistakes, it's going to come back and hurt you. You know, you can't turn the ball over on your end of the field. You can't give up third downs on defense or commit penalties on defense in crucial third down situations. You can't miss tackles on third down when you need it the most and to give your offense a chance to go down and possibly tie the game up. You just can't do that. You can't do it. And this team will eventually learn. This team is still young. I don't care what nobody says. You know, they might have veterans on this team, but this team is still young across the board. And they're going to eventually learn it. Marcus is going to eventually learn that he can't, when you're running a pitch play, you can't have the ball flailing out like that. And eventually, you know, they're going to stop calling those plays because hopefully Terry Robisky gets it in his head that that pitch play, number one, you don't run a pitch play in 13 personnel. Number two, you don't run a pitch play on the short side of the field. And number three, you don't run a pitch play with a quarterback that has issues controlling the football. You don't do that. So hopefully Terry Robisky will get that in his thick skull and not run that play again, because that play right there by itself changed the outcome of the game. The Titans, you know, could have possibly really put a dent in taking the lead at that point, and maybe the defense comes out and gets a stop, because the previous possession, the defense made stops, but the refs really egged on the calls. Some of those calls were really questionable, and in my opinion, I disagreed with many of those holding and pass interference calls that were on third down. But me being pissed off and me disagreeing doesn't change the outcome. Bottom line is the Titans could have possibly retaken the lead, and the defense could have maybe went out with momentum and made a stop. Offense goes out, scores, and we might be talking about a 5-4 team instead of a 4-5 team. But hey, we're talking about a 4-5 team. This team is eventually going to get it. Worst case scenario, this team wins out the rest of the season. I don't see that. You still got Green Bay and Denver to face, Houston and Indianapolis, teams that they haven't proven that they can beat yet. But I feel like this team can possibly win out and be 11-5. That's your worst case scenario right now if you're looking at it. Maybe they get an opportunity to sneak into the playoffs. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't want to think about playoffs for the Titans. Not right now. I don't want to think about it because this team needs to prove to itself and to the fans that they can win games without killing themselves. Now, I still think there's going to be a lot of fans supporting the Titans this week against Green Bay. But Green Bay fans travel. They love them some Green Bay Packers, and that's cool. But the Green Bay Packers are going to be pissed off because they lost to a Colts team that, in my opinion, they should have beat because the Titans should have beat them. So this is going to be a good game. But I will say this. I really want to congratulate the fans for showing up to the games, showing up to the Indianapolis Colts game. The crowd was electrifying. We started cheering, "Let's go Titans," got the wave going a little bit. We ended up losing the game, but the crowd was there. And then after that, I was really pissed because I'm like, that's the first time that the crowd has been really present against an opposing team, and they're not going to come back for the Thursday night thriller against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But they did. We were there. We were present, and we were loud. So, the crowd has been amazing. I hope the crowd is the same this Sunday. You heard defense at the San Diego Chargers game. There were a lot of Titans fans at the Chargers game. So, fandom for the Titans is starting to take off. This team really needs to take grasp of the fandom that is taking place here and try to really pull those outside fans in. Because remember, this is the same team that back in 99 and 2000 and all those winning seasons, this was a team that the fans used to travel real well to those opposing cities. Especially if they were close. You couldn't go to an Indianapolis Colts game or Atlanta game or a Florida game or whatever and not see a bunch of Titans fans there. The Titans fans used to travel real well. But over the years, as the team has gotten bad, folks are not going to pay, number one, that plane ticket, a hotel fee, and the game ticket to go see the Titans lose on the road. So this is a team that, if they can just take grasp and not shoot their own selves in the foot, this is a team that can really bring all of the fans back, bring some new fans in, and really start some havoc. I look at this team right now, and I tell you this, I really feel like this is a team that can win the division next year and probably compete at the top of the division for the next at least 5 to 8 years. The way they're put together right now, if they can keep everybody healthy and together, I feel like this is a team that can cause havoc in the AFC South.
And you know what? I'm going to do you one better. I think this is a team that can really cause havoc in the AFC by itself. You look at the powerhouses in the AFC right now. You're talking about what? New England.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sometimes Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot, Cincinnati. Who else? Maybe Miami if they can get it together. Yeah. There's not a lot of powerhouses in the AFC. New England is going to be the top dog for years until Bill Belichick retires and Tom Brady retires.
Of course.
But you look at the Titans. This is a team that, in my opinion, is in the middle of the pack in the AFC. This is a team that can really cause havoc in the whole conference as a whole. And you look back to that 2008 team, they won the conference. They were the number one team in the conference. They were the number one team in the league.
Yeah.
They had the best record. So I think this is a team that they're not that far away from being back to that type of football. They just need to learn how to, again, not kill themselves in crucial situations. So I'll do you one better. I think this team is close enough to almost take over the AFC as a conference instead of just the AFC South. I think they are close enough to take over the AFC as a whole.
You know what? That's bold. I'll agree with you, but that's really bold.
Hey, that's what I see.
Really bold, but
that's what I see.
You might be right. You might be onto something. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to discuss what's going on in Rocky Top. You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. We'll be right back. Let's ride. YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. Let's talk about what's been going on in good old Rocky Top. Now, last time we talked, I think they were about to take on Texas A&M. They were about to go through that 2-game stretch with Texas A&M and Alabama. And I know when we were talking about that, we were talking about maybe they could split those 2 games. And they didn't. They lost those 2. Nobody saw them losing to South Carolina the way they did. Just absolutely going in there and just laying an egg on the field. They just look terrible. They look terrible. And I understand this team has been physically and probably emotionally drained, especially after all this Jalen Hurts stuff has been coming out, going through injuries and stuff like that. This is by far, in my opinion, the most injured team in the NCAA right now. But you just don't go in there and lose to a guy who should be to a quarterback that should be a senior in high school. You just don't do that. This is the SEC. You are the top dogs in the SEC East, and you don't lose to a South Carolina game or to a South Carolina team like that. And they did. But then the Jalen Hurts stuff happened right after the game. And, this is my first time speaking on this. And I had a friend that was playing on the team last year. He's graduated. But he was playing in Tennessee last year. And he was just telling me things that I couldn't believe because nobody was reporting it. How Jalen Hurts was constantly getting into fights with coaches. He didn't have friends on the team. Was always working out by himself because nobody wanted to deal with him. Was more so not necessarily a loner, but it was just the fact that he looked like a loner because nobody wanted to be around him. He was just such an ass. And him and Butch Jones used to always get into it about certain things. And, nobody really liked Hurd. And this was reports coming out of Knoxville. I heard the same exact thing for his time at Beach High School. So Hurd leaving the program wasn't too much of a shock in my opinion, because I was hearing about these things last year. But when you're winning and stuff like that, nobody wants to discuss those issues. Nobody wants to bring it up because nobody wants to ruin the momentum of the team, especially the Riders up in Knoxville. They're not going to do that. But since the team was losing, all this stuff is finally coming out. And everybody's coming with their stories. I was getting it firsthand from a guy that was experiencing it firsthand, was live and in living color there. So Hurd leaving the team was not a surprise to me. Wasn't a surprise to me. I was hearing this last year. But Hurd has really hurt himself as far as an NFL standpoint. GMs and owners are not going to put up with a guy that leaves a program or leaves a team in the middle of the season because he can't have it his way. I was thinking about this last night. I was looking at, comparisons. And I was looking at Derrick Henry. I was like, you know what? Let me use Derrick Henry for an example. Derrick Henry goes to Alabama, okay? He goes there. Obviously, he's bigger than any of the other running backs that are there. Sometimes, there were reports that they wanted to turn him into a defensive end at one point because he was just so big and massive. You don't see these running backs in the league anymore. So you utilize him for what they could do. But no, Alabama was smart. They said, no, we're going to keep him at running back and we're just going to see what he can do. And, he had to wait until his junior year to finally showcase his talent. All right. But even when he did get to showcase his talent, he didn't get to showcase what he could fully do. All right. Derrick Henry, going into the draft process last year, the main issue with Henry was, okay, can he run outside? Can he catch the ball from the backfield? Can he block? Those were big question marks because as a running back, you have to do all of those things. Zeke Elliott proved that at Ohio State because that's what they asked him to do. Derrick Henry didn't get a chance to prove that, but he went to work every day and showcased what he could do when you put the ball in his hands. And he did it effectively and won the Heisman. Hurd should have took Derrick Henry's standpoint. Henry proved it all at his combine. He proved he could catch the ball. He proved he has enough speed to run to the outside. He proved he can pass block at the next level. Hurd's statement was, in short, that he was pissed because, I'm gonna say it the way he really wanted to say it. Hurd was pissed because he didn't play in a system that showcased his full talent. Well, Hurd, guess what? You can't have it your way. This is not Burger King. You could have been a millionaire in your young 20s. You know what? You messed it up. Why? Because you're arrogant and you wanted it your way. You can't have it your way. All you had to do was finish out the season strong. Butch Jones wasn't going to talk bad about you to the GMs. That's not in his nature. He was going to tell them, because it wouldn't have done him any favors. Because like Clay Travis said on 104.5 the other day, he said Butch Jones would have talked about Jalen Hurd to the GMs like he was the best player in the league. Okay? GMs get that from Butch Jones. All right? He goes to the pro day. He goes to his combine. He shows out. He's probably a second round, third round draft pick at this point, because you look at Hurd and his style and what he's been able to do so far at Tennessee, his stock has probably dropped a little bit. But at worst case scenario, he's a second or third round pick. Either way, he's going to be making a lot of money in the league. And he goes to the league. He gets with a team that can really use his talents. And he shows out, runs for over 1,200 yards. And there are young high school kids that are out there saying, I want to be the next Jalen Hurd. And they end up going to Tennessee. So Hurd really hurt himself and in some type of way hurt the program in a sense. But he really hurt himself because he hurt himself in making millions at a very young age. This guy has so much talent. He is big. He's 6'4", 240 something pounds, can run like hell, can catch the ball. I don't know why he was complaining that he wasn't able to showcase his talents. A lot of teams in the league that would have used Hurd were not going to throw him the football out of the backfield a lot. So for you to be complaining that you weren't being thrown to or you weren't being ran the right way, suck it up, go out there, work your ass off, and make a bunch of money in the next couple of months. You have ruined that. You have ruined that opportunity because you are arrogant. Your mother didn't want you to leave the program because she knew what would happen. You can't go to the league now. GMs and owners seeing all this from the outside, they don't need to call Butch Jones and ask what happened. They know what happened. You quit on your team. You quit on your teammates. They don't want that type of guy in the locker room. They don't. They don't want to deal with those types of guys. They want to deal with strong class, blue collar, suit and tie young men. They don't want to deal with those type of guys. They don't want to deal with divas, especially like you. They can deal with divas who go out there, make plays. Yeah, they might have a few incidents here and there, but they're not going to quit on their team because they're not getting it their way. That's you, Jalen Hurd. That's you. You should have been like Derrick Henry. You should have just went to work and prove it when you get an opportunity to prove it. That's your fault. That's not Tennessee's fault. Sure, Tennessee should have ran you differently. I believe that. I'm with you. They should have ran some I formation or some off-tackle plays with you. I'm with you 100% on that, bruh. I'm with you. They should have. But you know what? I can't have it my way. You can't have it your way. The fans can't have it their way. And sometimes the coaches can't have it their way. So you got to suck it up and just do what you got to do. You could have been a millionaire next spring in May. You could have been making millions. You could have bought your mama a house, your daddy a house, could have bought 3 brand new cars. You know what you're going to do now? You're probably going to go to a JUCO or at least a D2 school. That way you can play football right now. And then go out for the draft in 2018. But if you don't do that, your best case or your worst case scenario is you go to another D1 school, you sit out the whole entire 2017 year, then you play your 2018 year, then you go to the draft in 2019. You just lost 3 years of your million makings. And there is no guarantee that you are going to make millions after 2019 or in 2019. You have screwed yourself up. There's no win-win for you right now. There's none. All you had to do was suck it up. Just suck it up. And his statement to the program was, excuse my language, and I have to use it, but it was the most bullshittingest statement I have ever read in my life. One, because you know what? It wasn't sentimental. It wasn't from the heart. And 2, he didn't even include his teammates. He said, I wish all well to the program and go Vols. What about your teammates? What about those men that you went to war with every single day from practice to training camp to the football schedule? What about those guys? The guys like Juwan Jennings, Josh Dobbs, who else out there? Cam Sutton and Jalen Reeves-Mabe and Derek Barnett, Alvin Kamara, all those guys that have heart, Jack Jones, all those guys that have heart and go out there and bust their ass every single day trying to make plays for this team. If Hurd had just a tiny bit of Juwan Jennings in him, oh my goodness, what a player he could have been. What a player he could have been. And Juwan Jennings was supposed to be a quarterback going to UT. They sat him down and said, you know what, Juwan? I think we're set at quarterback. We want to transform you into a wide receiver. Can you be down with that? You know what Juwan Jennings said? I don't really like it, but you know what? I'll do what's best for the team. And you know what? He's become one of the best wide receivers, not only at Tennessee, but in my opinion, one of the best wide receivers in the country. Because the guy goes and makes plays. He goes to work every day. He comes with his hard hat and a full lunch pail, and he's ready to go to work. He rolls up his sleeves. He gives it 110% out there on the field, and you can see it just by the way he makes plays. It doesn't matter how bad the game is. He's out there making plays. He's out there making plays. I love Juwan Jennings. I do. I love that guy. That guy has a lot of heart. And if he continues to make plays like he is now, he's going to be a nice prospect for some teams coming up here in the next few years. But Hurd, you really messed yourself up because you have a lot of talent. A lot of talent. And you could have been making millions next year. But you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be shopping for schools who are probably going to be a little hesitant to bring you into their program because if you don't get it your way, you're just going to quit on them. So you really messed yourself up, Hurd. Big time. Big time. Really messed yourself up. But the Vols finally, for the first time, after Hurd has left the program, finally destroyed a team like they should have. Because the Tennessee Tech team, this team would have came at the beginning of the year, they probably would have struggled. But the Vols went out there and just dominated. They set Dobbs down in the first quarter. He was done. Quentin Dormady came in. They went to the third string quarterback who hasn't seen the light of day since Virginia Tech. And he didn't touch the field. It was his spark on the sideline ramping everybody up. They were showing him on the sideline. So Tennessee has a great chance to still win the East. They screwed themselves up, but they have a great chance. Georgia beating Kentucky was huge. Who beat Florida? Arkansas beating Florida was huge. Now, South Carolina needs to do their due against Florida, and Tennessee needs to beat Kentucky. And after that, if Florida loses to South Carolina, we're back where we started, and we control our own destiny. So the Vols have a chance to do something here. They're not out of it yet, but it's still a huge long shot. They have Florida has LSU. We have to take care of our own business, though. We have to finish and win out against Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Florida needs to lose one more game, and we're back where we need to be. Hopefully we can get Cam Sutton back. If we were to make it to Atlanta, we'll have a better defense going up against Alabama, and we'll be well rested. I still believe we still would have lost, but I still believe the Vols would have put up a better showing against Alabama had they had a healthy team. But we'll see. Right now, we take it one game at a time. One game at a time. All right. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to discuss the World Series, and then we're going to play a little Truth or Dare. You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to YMAS, that's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. All right, Ty, let's talk about this World Series. Before the World Series started, what were your expectations, and were they met at the end of the series?
You know, my expectation was 6 or 7 games. As far as a winner, I couldn't care less because, you know, there were great storylines from both teams. You had the Chicago Cubs, who hadn't won, you know, in 108 years. And then you had the Cleveland Indians, who could have been or could have made history by winning the World Series. And that could have been the first time ever for a major city having 2 franchises winning world championships the same year. Of course, everybody knows the Cavaliers won the NBA championship this past summer. So, you know, that could have been awesome to see happen. But, you know, my expectations were greatly met. Game 7 was bananas. You had the momentum shift up and down throughout the game. And then, to top it all off, the rain delay. The rain delay. Out of all places, to come when it came. And it's like great championship games always have that, I don't know, mysterious thing happen. Who in the world saw the rain delay coming? I don't think anybody in this world could have saw that coming. And it was amazing watching, you know, video feed from the reaction in Chicago. People that were standing outside of Wrigley Field and reacting to the Cubs winning the World Series, and seeing videos of lifelong Cubs fans finally seeing their team win it. It was amazing. It was wonderful. In my heart, I wanted the Cubs probably to win just to see that happen. But, I mean, honestly, I couldn't have cared less who won. I just wanted to see a great series, and that's what I got. My expectations were highly met, probably highly over met, and you know, it really made me watch baseball for the first time in Lord knows how long. And, you know, it was a great series. Really excellent series. And kudos to the MLB. They did a great job getting this series together, because the MLB World Series finally beat out the NFL on a Sunday night. And I couldn't have cared less between the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys matchup. I was watching the Cubs and Indians game. And to have, what was so funny, to have the Indians go up 3-1 and the Cubs do exactly what the Cavaliers did a few months ago, and seeing the Golden State Warrior fans on Twitter just go at the Indian fans was just so funny, and it was just great. It was great. It was a great time for sports, and this is going to be one of the World Series or even sports matchups that people will talk about for years and years to come.
Absolutely. I mean, it was it was legendary to watch that. And like you, I couldn't have cared less with the Dallas Cowboys game that was playing on Sunday night. I was flipping back and forth trying to watch both, but at one point in time, I stayed on Fox watching the baseball game, and I haven't sat down and watched a baseball game on TV since I played baseball, and that was when I was 10 years old. And, you know, the Cubs, I really and truly, people ask me, who are you pulling for? And I would tell them, you know, I don't care. You know, I just want a good series. But I always wanted to say the Cubs. Because as a kid, when I was growing up playing baseball, my favorite player or players to watch were Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, but Sammy Sosa was my guy. I loved Sammy Sosa. And who did he play for? The Cubs. And, you know, I wanted the Cubs to win it, but I knew, like you, I knew the storyline for Cleveland, how amazing that would have been. So that's why I was so hesitant to say the Cubs, you know. But I'm not going to sit around and be like, yeah, I'm a lifelong Cubs fan. I've been waiting for this all year. Because honestly, up until now, I could have cared less who was in the World Series. Outside, I didn't watch the MLB playoffs, but outside I wanted to see the Cubs at least get to it, or at least attempt to get to it. And then too, I went to see the Indians get to it. And then when both of them ended up being in the World Series, I was like, oh, I have to watch this. This might be my only chance to ever see this ever happen again. Two franchises that haven't won the MLB World Series in such a long time. The Cubs, who haven't won it since 1908, I think was the last time they won it. So, I mean, it was such a great series. It was such a legendary series, and it kind of made me love baseball again for a little while. You know, I was really into baseball, really trying to understand the concept of pitching and strategy and all this other kind of stuff. Something that I haven't done in years. I mean, it's been years. And I used to really enjoy baseball, but you know, I grew out of it, and I really loved football, and I still love football. Football will always be my number one sport, but baseball always used to be a number 2. Now it's a number 3 behind basketball. And it for the moment, baseball was my heart right then, and I really enjoyed the series. It was a great series. It was a legendary series, and this is the next thing I want for baseball, especially for the Cubs, and I think this would be the bow on top of the present. Have Steve Bartman throw out the first pitch at the Cubs game. I think that needs to happen. That will be the great ending to this story. How the Cubs have had so many curses and things happen to them to prevent them from winning the World Series. They finally won the World Series. Have Steve Bartman throw out the first pitch. Somebody find him. Whatever, his name ain't Steve Bartman no more. Somebody find John Doe and have him throw out the first pitch at the Cubs game. I think that right there, when the very first MLB games come on, opening week, when the Cubs play, that will be probably the most watched game right there, just to see that moment. And you put that in a video and you wrap it up and you bow it and you ship it off. That would be great to see that happen. But who knows? Who knows where Bartman is? Bartman might not even live in the States anymore. Bartman might live in Europe somewhere or Asia. Who knows? But that would be great. The chances of that happening are slim to none, but that would be great. That would be great to just wrap it all up. All right. So we talked about the World Series and we reacted to it. Now it's time to wrap this show up on a little game called Truth or Dare.
Yay.
Ty, are you ready for some Truth or Dare?
Man, I'm always ready for some Truth or Dare.
All right. Truth or Dare?
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to choose Dare.
All right. Your dare is to close your eyes and send a blind text to a random person in your phone.
Oh man. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it after the show.
You better do it after the show. All right, you got me now.
All right. Truth or dare?
I'm gonna go with truth.
All right. Describe your worst kiss ever.
Oh man. Okay. Shoot, I don't want to say her name, but there was this chick back when I was, God, how old was I? 14, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all hanging out at my boy Joey's crib,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to sneak into the swimming pool that they had at his subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And we snuck in there, and there was this chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to fill up on me and everything. And eventually it just got to me. I couldn't help it no more. And it kind of left the group, and we went and made out.
Oh.
And man, it was the worst kiss ever. She
Oh,
had
man.
pizza breath, and it was
man.
just nasty. It was so bad.
Oh man.
And man, this chick afterwards tried to call me and contact me. I accidentally gave her a phone number and all this. And we didn't even drink. You know, we were all 14. We couldn't get no alcohol at that time. So
yeah.
man, it was terrible. it was very terrible. I won't ever say her name, but man, it was terrible.
It was
Funny
terrible.
thing about it though,
Mhm.
what was it, about a month or two ago, I saw her for the first time since really that night.
What?
Man, oh man, it was crazy. It was kind of
Wow.
deja vu. I actually talked to her for a little bit.
Oh, did you now?
I mean, she cool. Nothing against her. Nothing. It was just that was just that was terrible. That was terrible. Bad kiss. No. Never again. Never again. All right. One more. Truth or dare?
I'm gonna go with truth this time because you gonna get me messed up with something dealing with my girl. I already know it. Truth. I'm gonna go with truth.
All right. You want truth? You gonna get the truth. Describe to me your weirdest dream ever.
Oh man. Okay. This happened 2 nights ago. Let's see if I can really remember it all the way through. It was really weird. So I was a teenager again, and I was in high school, and like I was Spider-Man, and for some
Spider-Man.
odd reason, I could never shoot my web in front of people. I couldn't show out. I couldn't do it. But here's the weird part
shoot
about
web.
it.
That's the
Not only
point of
was
being
I Spider-Man, but I could fly without the webs too. So it's like I could take off and jump and just fly and all this other kind of stuff. But again, I could never do it in front of people. That was like my weakness, which was weird, but oh well. But like,
Okay.
there was this girl I really, really liked in the dream. And sorry, baby girl, I knew you were going to get me in trouble some type of way, but
Yep, there it is.
there was this girl in the dream that I liked that wasn't my girlfriend. And I was trying to save her, and I couldn't save her because I couldn't shoot webs, and I couldn't jump because I couldn't do it in front of people. And she ended up dying. And I guess it was a good thing she wasn't my girlfriend, because then I'd be in trouble for not saving her. So either way, I'm about to sleep on the couch tonight. So,
What in the world? What
yeah,
kind
that
of
was my
dream did
weirdest
you
dream,
have?
man. I was Spider-Man and Superman in one, but I couldn't do my superpowers in front of people. But by myself, I was cold. Like I could shoot webs and do all this other kind of stuff, swing from buildings, and then like my flying technique, it wasn't just take off and fly. I had to get a good run and start, then hop, then fly. And it was dope for a little bit, but I just could not actually do it in front of people, and it pissed me off. And every now and then I would have that dream, but man,
Okay, all right.
man, I could never do that. That pissed me off. Hopefully I can. Have you, real quick on the truth, have you ever been able to actually control your dream before?
I've done it twice, and it's not easy. It really isn't. But I have done it twice where I've been able to control my dream and control the outcome. I don't really know how I did it. I actually went and looked it up and tried to figure out, the psychological meaning behind it and everything. But I have been able to control my dream on 2 occasions. And I can't really remember the dreams, but I do remember that I have been able to do it on an occasion or two. But you know, that's something that's so hard to do, is being able to control your dreams, because you know, when you dream, you know, you're dreaming. Normally when you dream, you're dreaming about events or things that have happened throughout your day, or things that kind of stuck in your mind throughout the week or stuff like that. Because I know in my, you know, when I dream, most of the time when I dream, it's events or things that I've seen on TV or something that I've experienced before, and I just go through the dream world and try and experience it that way. But being able to control the outcome of the dream is difficult. It's a skill that you actually have to develop over time. It's just something you can't go in and do. And I have been able to control my dreams on 2 occasions, but you know, that is something so hard to do. Okay, last one. Get me on truth or dare.
All right, truth or dare?
Well, since I've already done a truth, I guess I should finish out the show with a dare. So give me a dare.
All right, your dare is to say you heard me after everything you say for the next 5 minutes.
So everything I say, I have to end it with "you heard me."
Exactly.
Okay. You heard me. I guess
just like that.
You heard me. So I guess I'm gonna have to finish the show off like this. You heard me.
All right.
You're listening to YMAS. That's You Mad About Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. You heard me. I'm James C. You heard me.
And I'm Ty Mack.
And we out of here. You heard me. Holla at your boys. You heard me.
See ya.